Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cory Turner Talks Cars. And today I ask the question, is Jeep enough? Now, I know that could be taken a lot of different ways, but here my question is this. Jeep's dominance in the SUV 4x4 off-roading market is undeniable. And you may have a few pockets of people that love this or that or whatever. But if you were to go out into the general public and you ask 10 people, what's the best off-roading SUV 4x4 you can get? They're going to say Jeep. And most of the time they're going to say Wrangler. And if it's not 10 out of 10, it's probably 9.5 out of 10 because that other half can't exactly remember a Rubicon or a Wrangler, but they remember the name Jeep. And so the dominance of Jeep has been, undeniable for forever, basically. But now there's competitors coming into the market. Is Jeep enough to carry that dominance as we move forward, right? As Ford comes out with the Bronco, as Hummer is making a little bit of a comeback, right, with the electric vehicle that's coming out, as Tesla's jumping into the cyber truck market, can Jeep continue to stay as strong as it has in the past? Now, if we look back, the CJ, which was the civilian Jeep, hit the market. It had already proven itself in war, and then it was released to the civilian market, and of course was a huge success. And it carried on from there. And if we think about Jeep, it's probably the most patriotic vehicle that we have. If you think about a vehicle, something that goes back to World War II, which we consider the greatest generation, right? And it fought right alongside of our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and those individuals that stood to the call when times were tough and the United States had to go to war and had to make a difference in the world. The Jeep was the vehicle that drove them there, which is absolutely amazing to think of. So when we think of a Jeep, we automatically think about that. We think about heritage and we think about country. And I think that gives the Jeep a lot of the strength that it has back then and even now. But there's more to it. Jeep found itself in a market that has been evolving since the early 80s, and actually in a market that they created. Except for the Jeepster back in the mid-40s, early 50s, maybe up to 51, Jeep has only had SUVs, right? The Jeepster was kind of a roadster. I think it was kind of cool, but other than that, they've been an SUV company. And as we move forward, since the 80s, when really they came out with and created the SUV market, let's be honest with that, right? They have been in the perfect position to take advantage of the fact that SUVs are where the market is going, right? The Wrangler, we'll start with the Wrangler. The Wrangler is the most capable off-road vehicle that I think anybody, what I call a civilian, right, can go out and get. And it's one of those recognizable, iconic vehicles. And why? Why is that? Why is it so strong? Why is it still number one? When you look at a Jeep, a lot has changed. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of things have happened. But in essence, you still see that Willys Jeep, right? That World War II, winning in the European theater. You see that Jeep even when you're looking at a current Jeep. And yes, they've had other models and other vehicles that have come along. But the Jeep Wrangler, of course, Wrangler didn't get the name Wrangler until 1987. It was a CJ up until then. I think it was 87. Please correct me on that. But that's a vehicle that you look back at. It has had that heritage, right? It has been an amazing vehicle for that. So a couple of things playing in for Jeeps already. Okay, yeah, it has the heritage. It's, I think, patriotic. And it also was in a market that has been evolving and has been growing in market share. But we're reaching a point now where it is starting to get strong competition. We have the Ford Bronco, right, that's coming in. That is absolutely, it's not like, hey, we're trying to get into this 4x4 market. Their entire thing is, hey, we're taking on Jeep, and specifically the Wrangler. It looks like a beautiful vehicle. It looks very capable. It looks well designed. What is it going to do to the Jeep's market share? And here in the United States, it's not just here in the United States either. Jeep is doing extremely well in Japan. Jeep is doing extremely well in the UK, which I think makes Land Rover probably a little bit nervous. It's a recognizable brand, and Jeep is a recognizable United States brand or a U.S. brand that does well in areas where U.S. brands don't do well. When you see Chevrolets and Fords and other vehicles selling in the few hundreds, you see Jeep selling in the thousands. It's one of those type of iconic brands. Now with the Bronco here, how is Jeep going to hold up? Now, as more and more SUVs and crossovers are starting to come into that market, and it's not just the 4x4 off-road. Let's be honest, most people don't take their 4x4 off-road. Most of them are not out on the weekends hitting the trails, right? They're not taking the Rubicon Trail. They're going to the store. They're doing that. Most people use the vehicles that way. Wrangler is always giving you that tough, that rugged, that strong feeling like, hey, it may look like I'm going off-road on the weekends, but I may not be doing that. I think that's why Jeep has always been strong. However, Jeep has not always given us the comfort levels that the other vehicles that are coming back into play are. And I'm not just talking about SUVs. There's a lot of crossovers that give you the feeling of the SUV, that give you creature comforts and all the different things that we've become used to in sedans is now in the SUV market. So Jeep is going to have to take a major step forward there. Now they're bringing back the Wagoneer, the Grand Wagoneer. I think they're going to be doing that. And the pictures and things that I have seen, well, I think they've done really well. It looks like a luxurious, well-appointed SUV that I think is capable of taking on some of the strongest ones in the market. And I think it's actually, looks to be a great vehicle. Of course, in the 80s, they started this SUV market with the Cherokee, and of course the Cherokee is still going on now. Of course, Jeep has had a lot of different owners, Willys and all the way up through Chrysler, to short time the United States government, Fiat now, and it's even going to be changing a little bit more here soon. A lot of different influences, but the Jeep Wrangler has always stayed pretty true to its course. It has a completely loyal fan base. People are dedicated to it. There's more Jeep groups and organized Jeep events and the Jeep Jamboree than pretty much any other vehicle that you go out. You see a lot of cars and coffees. You see a lot of groups. But when you talk about the sheer mass of dedication and numbers and committed to something, you'd have to go a long way to beat the Jeep. I feel, here's my opinion, and I want you to leave this in the comments, I feel Jeep is going to stay strong, and I feel that Jeep is going to stay number one. It has a level of ruggedness and toughness that you can only earn through a heritage of, let's see, we're talking about, 1947, 1945, July 1945 when it hit civilians, but even prior to that, military war dedication. The only other vehicle that really comes to mind, you think of the Humvee, and of course we don't have Hummer anymore, although they're making that comeback. How you doing, buddy? They're making the comeback, of course, but Jeep is that strong vehicle. Every time I see a Jeep, I'm like, man, that's a good-looking truck right there. And they haven't changed that much, right? They look the same all the way through. So personally, is Jeep enough? Yeah, I think the name's enough. I think the heritage and the legacy of the vehicle is enough. I think its patriotic ties to helping us win a world war, I think that's great. I think their dedication to their fan base and listening to their fan base and designing their cars in such a way that they're new, but they also stay true to their heritage, I think that has been strong. And now the fact that they're really working on providing us another set of vehicles that are going to take us into the next level of luxury, of the things we're used to, our SUVs. I think that is going to help them maintain their dominance. Could they run just off the name? No one can run just off the name. There's going to come a point where going to be obsolescence is going to set in. But I don't feel that is going to happen with the Jeep. I think they're taking the right steps to get there, and I think they have the heritage and the legacy to actually be able to do even greater things, and their ability to listen to their customer base. Let's be honest, they are in their group of companies, they are the number one, and they have been number one. Chrysler bought them a long time ago, Lee Iacocca did, because they were number one. So Jeep has been iconic its entire lifetime, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So tell me what you think. Is Jeep going to stay that number one in the market? Or is their market share going to change? Are they going to stay as dominant as they are? We've seen so many vehicles come and go. How hard hit are they going to be by the Bronco? Is the Bronco ready to take the Jeep on? on its own home turf, basically, what damage is it going to do to it? I think the Bronco is a great truck. I think it's definitely going to have some impact, but I think on the long term and where Jeep is trying to go and what their leadership is trying to do with it, I think we're going to find that Jeep's going to stay that number one market share, that dominance in the market, and still be that vehicle that you're like, wow, that is a good-looking truck right there. So let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Tell me if you think I'm completely wrong. If there is another off-roader that comes to mind when you think of off-roader, you might be that rare person, but that's okay. Leave me a comment about that. Remember to like, comment, and share. Let's talk about cars tomorrow.